Hello everyone, welcome to Kendall MMA's full card prediction and breakdown for UFC 297. In this video today, I will go through the entire card and give my individual breakdown for every single fight and give a prediction of who I think will win at the end of it, or at the beginning, who knows. And I fully guarantee that all of my picks in this are going to be correct. I will not get a single one wrong. This will be a perfect breakdown of 297. I will not get a single fight wrong at all because I am the GOAT. I am the guy. I'm kidding. But let's not waste any more time and let's dive right into these predictions. Starting off on the card, we have Malcolm Gordon versus Jimmy Flick. Now, these guys are completely mediocre. They aren't really that good, hence why they are the opening prelim fight. But I think I'm going to take Malcolm Gordon here. I think Malcolm Gordon just is better than Jimmy Flick. They're both really not good, like I said before. But I think Malcolm Gordon has shown that he can at least hang with Muhammad Mokaev. Is he really that good? Is he like a top 15 bantamweight level? Not a shot in the world, but Jimmy Flick is, I think, nowhere near that. Coming off a KO loss to Alessandro Costa 6 months ago, so relatively soon, but dude, they just both are kind of mid at best. I'm taking Malcolm Gordon. I think that he has at least shown a little bit of talent. At least I know he kind of fluked his win against Figueiredo, the bad one, the little brother, I think, or maybe the older brother. But the lesser Figueiredo, what's his name? Francisco Figueiredo. Just when I compare these two guys and I look at who has more talent and who can probably win a fight, I look at Malcolm Gordon, who looks like he's in good shape. He seems like he at least trains hard. Jimmy Flick probably does as well, but Malcolm Gordon at least looks like he takes this shit seriously, or Jimmy Flick does as well, but I think Malcolm Gordon takes it more seriously. This is a hard prediction to make because these guys are just not good at all. I don't know. Malcolm Gordon's just a bit more fast twitchy, and I guess he has not the better grappling, but I think he can defensively grapple enough to keep Jimmy Flick from taking him down. And so I'm going to take Malcolm Gordon by decision, maybe close, 29-28 split decision for Malcolm Gordon. Moving on up the card, we have Jasmine Jasudavicius versus Priscila Cachoeira. Now, this one's kind of tricky. Jasudavicius kind of let me down with her last performance against Tracy Cortez, but I still think that she has some grit, some naughtiness in her. That's a really bad word to use, but you know what I mean. She has some grit, bite down the mouthpiece sort of style to her. She'll go after Priscila Cachoeira, who I think relies too much on her physicality to win fights. Let's be honest here. Cachoeira does have more testosterone, if I'm being honest, but I think Jasudavicius just is the more talented fighter. They're both not really that talented. Again, these two fights, Malcolm Gordon and Jimmy Flick and Jasudavicius versus Cachoeira, they're not the most talent-filled fights, if I'm being totally honest with you, but I think Jasudavicius just is more willing to really go after Cachoeira and try to win this fight, where I think Priscila might just fold underneath the pressure. I mean, Jasudavicius is a heavy favorite. I think a -410 favorite on Topology right now. So she kind of has the advantage. 3-inch reach advantage as well. So that kind of plays into her favor. I think she'll go after Cachoeira and just lay some wood on her. And maybe, no, not TKO her, but she's probably going to win a decision as well. I'm saying it's a women's fight. They always end in decisions. But I'll probably take Jasmine Jasudavicius by decision, 29-28. Both of these fights are going to probably be boring. I probably will skip out on them. Probably not. I'll watch them back. I'll watch every single fight back that I miss from every live stream that I do. But I just will probably, save this one later. It's kind of like the leftovers from dinner. You just kind of wait for it to sit in the fridge for a couple days, and one day you come back, you're a little bit hungry, then you kind of just put it in the microwave and just hope it's good. But obviously, it's not going to be as good if it was freshly made. But taking Jasudavicius by decision, whatever. Up the card, we have Yohan Lainesse versus Sam Patterson. Now, listen. Sam Patterson is taking a massive L here. He pretty much got fraud checked by what Yanel Ashmuz got put out, I mean, so bad. And this dude's turning around, going up a weight class to fight a power puncher in Yohan Lainesse. Sorry. This is, I mean, terrible booking, a terrible decision by Sam Patterson. I just don't think he'll ever be the same, man. When he got KO'd, it wasn't like a nice KO to ground and pound. He was kind of out of it. It was probably one of the worst KOs I've seen in a while. This man was fighting the ref for a solid 5 minutes after he got KO'd. It was terrible. This man was a walking robot, still fighting the ref while unconscious, standing up in the clinch. He was clinching, I think, with Marc Goddard for like a solid 5 minutes, trying to take down or to hit strikes on Marc Goddard. It was terrible, man. It worries me how his chin's going to be, but I do think, listen, I know I'm shitting on him a lot, but I think Sam Patterson just is really good. I think he actually has some talent, but I think him fighting Yohan Lainesse is a complete mismatch. Listen, Sam Patterson, man, he's good. Like, I think he has a good technical ability. I think that he is a really talented fighter, but I think that he is really open to that overhand right. I think his chin is just kind of wide open to be hit by a power shot. And Yohan Lainesse, who I think is not really that good. Listen, in terms of skill for skill, Sam Patterson has him beat. But Sam Patterson just does not have a good guard. His defensive boxing seems pretty suspect. And I can really just see Yohan Lainesse just laying a nice right hand on the chin of Patterson, putting him down and TKOing him. It sucks, man. I think Sam Patterson is better than Yohan Lainesse, but going up a weight class and fighting a power puncher when you just got chin checked like that is a big mistake. But who knows, maybe Sam Patterson's chin is revived after taking 9 months off. Maybe he can survive that first round, which if he does survive it, I think he'll be able to beat Yohan Lainesse, because after that, Lainesse has nothing after the first round, man. I think he's a complete bum, but he does have power. I'll give him that much credit. He can land good shots, and I think if he does tap the chin of Patterson, it's going to be 99 goodbye-bye snooze fest for Sam Patterson. So I will officially take Yohan Lainesse by first round KO to put down Patterson bad. But if he does survive that first round, live bet on Patterson. I'm telling you right now, if he survives that first round, Patterson can probably win this fight just based off of pure skill and Lainesse gassing. But up next, we have Gillian Robertson versus Polyana Viana. I'm taking Gillian Robertson here. She is just going to win this fight via grappling. She's a decent grappler for a women's fighter. Listen, she was able to submit Rose Namajunas in a grappling tournament, I think, or a grappling match outright, which isn't the most credible thing of all time because Rose Namajunas is purely a striker and Robertson is bigger than her. She's up a weight class, so it isn't the most like concrete, this was a great grappling win from Robertson. But I just think Viana she's pretty, man, but she's kind of mid as well, bro. Let's be honest here. I mean, what good win does she have in the UFC right now? She beat Jinh Yu Frey a year ago. Not good. No bueno. Not for me. Jinh Yu Frey is 11-10 right now. She's stinky bad. She's out of the UFC, got cut. And then before that, she beat Mallory Martin. Who the fuck is that? She beat Emily Whitmire. Who is that? Like, listen, Viana has not really any good wins in the UFC. And Gillian Robertson at least has been competitive. And I know she lost to Richie 6 months ago, but at least she's competitive. She seems like she actually has some talent at, what is this? Strawweight. She has some talent at strawweight. I don't know. It really just worries me. Both these women don't really possess too much, but I think Robertson has a grappling advantage. And I think when you're fighting somebody like Viana, I think grappling is probably going to be the best way for her to win. So I'm taking Robertson by decision, bro. This might be a stinky card. I don't know. But next fight we have, I don't know how to say his name correctly, but I'm going to try to guess it right here. Sidey. Is that right? I don't know. Versus Ramon Taveras. Now, these guys originally fought on the Contender Series where Sidey won by first round KO, but people were kind of claiming that it was an early stoppage, that Sidey didn't really knock him down or TKO him, and that Roman Taveras slipped. But I don't think so. I didn't really see it, man. Like, he did kind of slip a little bit. You can see the ankle kind of get caught up in the legs of Sidey, but I don't think that was what caused the stoppage. I don't think him kind of somewhat being close to his ankle is what led to Taveras being knocked down. I think he legitimately got caught by a nice right hand and then fell down rocked. I think Taveras obviously got rocked by Sidey and he got dropped. Now, was the stoppage early? For sure. Definitely was an early stoppage, but he did get dropped by Sidey. Now, you can definitely argue that Taveras was having the advantage over Sidey in their fight. Landed a nice, good couple left hands on the chin of Sidey. I think overall, in terms of striking, I think Taveras is a little bit better, but I mean, getting dropped by Sidey looks kind of, it's a rematch. I think Sidey kind of has more confidence coming in here. I think he'd be like, I beat this guy already. I can definitely beat him again. I think Taveras definitely knows that he got rocked and stunned a little bit by Sidey. As much as they're probably saying early stoppage that he wasn't hurt at all, I don't think that's the case, man. You can see his arms go limp a little bit. You can see him fall kind of awkwardly. And I don't think it was from the trip from Sidey. I think he didn't get tripped at all. I think he just got rocked and got dropped. But Sidey does have some good front kicks, and Taveras does have a good left hand. And I think we'll probably see a similar outcome to that first fight that they had, where Taveras is kind of getting the slight edge over Sidey. But I think the range is going to be a massive factor in this. And I can just see Sidey hurting him again and dropping him. I'm picking Serhiy Sidey to win this fight, probably by first round KO again. I think he'll beat Taveras as well. Taveras is kind of undersized. He's definitely a lot smaller than Sidey, even in terms of just muscle mass. Like, Taveras has a bit more muscle on him, but he's not nearly as big or the same size as Sidey. Sidey's a lot taller than him with a good reach advantage as well. So I'm taking Sidey by first round TKO to beat Taveras again. It is what it is, bro. But moving on up the card to some more exciting fights that I'm actually hyped to watch, man. Some actual good competition here. We got Charles Jourdain versus Sean Woodson. Now listen, Sean Woodson, I just can't get over that Luis Saldana performance. That was so stinky. He got dropped, I believe, twice by Saldana, and Saldana fumbled it so bad by going for that knee. After he dropped Sean Woodson, he kneed him on his face and then celebrated, had a really massive adrenaline dump, and he still was kind of making it competitive with Sean Woodson. He was completely out of it. Woodson was pretty much done after he got, I think, KO'd by Saldana. I think he legitimately got put down bad and was pretty much done, but lucked out that Saldana is an idiot and has no IQ. So I think him fighting Charles Jourdain is going to prove tough to him if he couldn't really beat Luis Saldana, who I think is not cut from the UFC. I don't know if he is or not, but Charles Jourdain is actually really good. I really do rate the skill of him. He beat Shane Burgos. I don't care. Or he at least drawed him in that fight. He 10-8'd him in that third round. I don't care. I think Charles Jourdain probably won 2-1 against Shane Burgos. Other than that, he lost to Nathaniel Wood, which not even that bad of a loss, man. Nathaniel Wood is pretty good. But other than that, I think Charles Jourdain has a lot of talent. Maybe Sean Woodson's body shots can be effective against Charles Jourdain, but I don't know if they're going to be too effective with Charles Jourdain probably pressuring him backwards and going for body shots of his own, landing his own shots, calf kicks, all of that. I think he'll probably win this fight quite comfortably. Charles Jourdain, don't disappoint me. I really do like his TikTok, bro. He's one of my, I wouldn't say favorite fighters, but he is one of my more likable fighters in my top 20 list, maybe. I don't know. I'm just really high on Charles Jourdain. I think he can definitely beat Sean Woodson, who is kind of been exposed in the past. So I will take Charles Jourdain. I was going to say by submission, but I don't think there's going to be any grappling in this fight. So maybe if Sean Woodson goes for a terrible takedown, but I don't really see him shooting a takedown even if he's rocked. So maybe Charles Jourdain by TKO, maybe third round. We'll see what happens. I think he'll just be able to overwhelm Sean Woodson and probably win this. But Woodson still is game. He isn't totally awful. I still think he's a good fighter. But just that Saldana performance is in my head. It's so stinky. And I think Charles Jourdain is leagues better than Saldana. But it is MMA. Things don't make sense. That's how the fight game works. But I'll take Jourdain by, again, third round TKO. But now we have Brad Katona versus Garrett Armfield. This one's kind of a no-brainer. Brad Katona's going to win this pretty comfortably by decision. Garrett Armfield shouldn't really be in the UFC. I think the only reason they signed him was for the storyline between him and David Onama, which he lost him already a year and a half ago. So, I mean, there really is no point in keeping Garrett Armfield around, but he got another win. He did beat Toshiomi Kazama, who shouldn't even be in the UFC, because I don't know why losing on the road to UFC earned you a spot on the roster. But he did beat Toshiomi Kazama, who is not even a good win at all. So, I mean, congrats, Garrett Armfield. But I think Katona is kind of made his resurgence, kind of found his way back into the UFC, obviously winning tough. I think he is actually really talented and actually really good. And I think he should be able to beat Garrett Armfield fairly easily. I think Garrett Armfield is just a really mid fighter, just overall. And Katona actually has talent and has been through the ringer, through tough. He's good. He has talent. But I mean, Katona has beat some really good competition. Listen to these names I'm going to list off for you. Gamzat Magomedov. What? That's already a good name. He was 7-1 at the time. He beat Hamzat Kuheji, 11-2 guy. Split decision, but it was on Brave. He still beat him. Borislav Nikolic, 8-0 guy. He beat him 2 years ago. I mean, Katona is good. I think he is a good fighter, whereas Garrett Armfield has, 10-5 guy, 6-3 guy, 1-0 guy. Like, he's not fighting great competition to even get into the UFC. Again, I think he was only signed for that David Onama storyline, and that's over and done with. So, yeah. Katona, decision. Easy win. So moving on to the main card, we have Arnold Allen versus Movsar Evloev. And I went back and I rewatched Evloev versus Diego Lopez. And listen, man, Evloev is kind of sketchy on the feet, man. I don't know if his defensive boxing is the best at all. I really do truly believe this. If Diego Lopez came in that fight on full camp, he would have beaten Movsar Evloev. I think he would have outstruck him for 3 rounds. He would have had better takedown defense training for Evloev. If he came in on full camp, I think Diego Lopez would have been able to beat Evloev slightly, probably 29-28, but I think he would have been able to win. And he was close to winning that fight on short notice as well. But again, Evloev just doesn't seem like he can really box offensively too well. Like, he seems like he's a bit slow to the punch, right? And Arnold Allen, I think, has incredible speed. He probably is the fastest striker at featherweight right now. Now, is he the best? Is he the most technical? Of course not. But I think in terms of just pure speed, Arnold Allen just has that really fast, twitchy kind of punches, where I think Evloev is just kind of slow. Now, can Evloev grapple up Arnold Allen? I don't really think so as well. I think Arnold Allen moves really well on the back foot, right? When I rewatched Evloev versus Diego Lopez, he was just stationary, just not really moving at all. And the same thing with Dan Ige. These guys just don't move side to side at all. And that allows Evloev to kind of get his takedowns off. And I think Arnold Allen just has that lateral movement to make things easier for him stuffing takedowns and kind of confuse Evloev and make him shoot bad takedowns. But I think I can just see Evloev going in there and trying to strike with Arnold Allen, just maybe test it out and get chinned almost immediately. I just think Arnold Allen will be way too fast for Evloev. I think he'll beat him to the punch, obviously. He has a great counter left hook. He was able to drop Jasudavicius with a counter left hook, which isn't Sadiq's chin isn't the best, but I think dropping Jasudavicius with a counter left hook shows that you can definitely pull that one off against Evloev. And even Diego Lopez was able to land a few good counter left hooks on the chin of Evloev. So I can just really see Arnold Allen just sticking and moving on the back foot, using his lateral movement, avoiding the takedowns of Evloev or making it confusing for him. And in that little period of time, if Evloev wants to strike with Arnold Allen and go in for a nice 1-2 because he gets really close, I don't know. Evloev kind of worries me, man. He gets really close to his opponents whenever he's trying to do a 1-2 down the pipe. I can just see Arnold Allen landing a nice counter left hook, kind of somewhat wobbling Evloev, and then just an onslaught, Dan Hooker style. Arnold Allen's going to blitz him coming forward and just land haymakers on him. And I think just eventually overwhelming Evloev and get a standing TKO finish for Arnold Allen. First round, standing TKO finish for Arnold Allen. Counter left hook to a flurry of punches. Arnold Allen should get this one done. Evloev might be able to grapple him up, but I'm just not too willing to bet on that. But up next, we have Chris Curtis versus Marc Andre-Barriault. I'm taking Chris Curtis. Barriault's style is just not fit to beat Chris Curtis at all. I don't think he'll be able to hurt Chris Curtis to be able to outstrike him. I think if you want to beat Chris Curtis, you either have to be really rangy on the feet or just find ways to outpoint him throughout 5 rounds or 3 rounds, I don't think Marc Andre-Barriault is built to beat a guy like Chris Curtis, right? Marc Andre-Barriault's kind of a slow starter. He kind of waits for you to gas yourself out from trying to beat him up so much, and then once you're tired, then he goes for the kill. And Chris Curtis's style is not really that at all. He doesn't really try to blitz you and try to chin you immediately. He kind of sits down and waits. He's a bit more patient. He'll go for body shots. I think Chris Curtis's body shots are going to be absolutely massive because Listen, Andre-Barriault's gas tank is really good, but when you're taking a lot of body shots, pause, from Chris Curtis, pause. That sounds so weird, but you know what I mean. When you're taking a lot of body shots from Chris Curtis, things get a little bit different in the cardio department. Can he still hold on? Can he still have that same level of cardio while he's taking tons of body shots from Chris Curtis? No, I'm just going to play into it at this point. But my guess is I don't really think so. I think Chris Curtis is probably going to chin him here. I think what he'll do is probably land a body shot to a TKO for Chris Curtis. Probably, I think second round, give it a round for those body shots to really settle in. And then eventually he can't take any more body shots and he gets absolutely put down and laid down on the ground, completely gassed out. Andre-Barriault. I'm just trying to make up something in my head right now, but I just think he won't be able to take any more of those left hooks to the body and eventually fall down and get TKO'd by Chris Curtis in the second round. Also in this, Chris Curtis is shorter, apparently by 4 inches, right? He's 5'10" to Andre-Barriault's 6'1", and he has a 1.5 inch reach advantage. That's always awful whenever a guy's shorter than you with longer arms. It makes it really difficult to find the range, and you got to punch down. Things don't really work out the best. We see how Max Holloway struggles with that against Volk. So I think overall, Chris Curtis will be able to find that, get in tight, because he's smaller than Andre-Barriault, and just rip the liver, rip that left hook to the body, and eventually put him down in that second round. But moving on up the card again, we have Neil Magny versus Mike Malott. And this one's kind of tricky, man. Mike Malott has only beat Can so far in his UFC career, but he's back in his hometown, not hometown, he's back in Canada, his home country, is what I mean to say. And he's fighting Neil Magny, who is the king of mid. Now, listen, Neil Magny is like, he exposes guys like Mike Malott. He pretty much, if you can't beat Neil Magny, you probably won't be anything in the UFC. And if you can get past Neil Magny, you can probably be somewhere in the top 10, at least top 5, maybe. It's probably what Neil Magny potential gets you if you do manage to beat him convincingly. But Neil Magny, man, I think right now this is probably the best time to fight Neil Magny in his career, going through a custody battle right now for his kid. Thanks, Ian Gary, you jerk. Also, he took a really bad loss to Ian Gary as well. Pretty much got embarrassed throughout 3 rounds. I keep saying 5 rounds, but got embarrassed throughout 3 rounds. Could not handle the leg kicks. And Mike Malott, listen, Mike Malott looks good. He looks technical. I think at one point he was a striking coach for his gym, so he has that coaching experience. I think he knows what he's doing in terms of striking. And the issue in his past wasn't the striking, it was always the grappling, and he's massively improved that. And I think Neil Magny is going to try to clinch with him and up against the cage and try to make this fight super boring. And I think Mike Malott will be able to get out of that. And I don't know if he'll chin Neil Magny, but I think he'll submit him. I think Mike Malott has incredibly improved in his grappling game, and I think he'll be able to take down Neil Magny, probably by a trip in the clinch, and then get a nice, I want to say arm triangle in, man. I think he's just that good. Maybe a guillotine again, but I think an arm triangle will be more fitting for Mike Malott right now. I think he'll probably take down Neil Magny with an outside trip and get an arm triangle just like how Gilbert Burns did. But this very well could be the massive exposure of Mike Malott. Like, again, he hasn't fought the best competition in the UFC so far. He fought Adam Fugit, he fought him, beat him by guillotine choke, which is good. He beat Yohan Lainesse, again, stinky win on the card as well. Beat Mickey Gall, stinky win, you know what I mean? Like, these guys aren't the best competition in the UFC right now. I mean, I know he's beating them pretty convincingly, which is good, is what I mean. Like, it's good that he's beating these guys easily who aren't really good competition. So I have to give him some credit for that. And you can only beat the guys who are in front of you. But is Neil Magny that huge test that really breaks the mold? I don't really think so. I think Neil Magny is kind of declining in his career so far. He's now 36 years old. I just see him slowing down. He mainly wins by just clinching with you and just holding you up against the cage. I just don't know if he can really hold Mike Malott up against the cage. Now, I think Neil Magny is a lot bigger than him, so maybe he can actually do that. Maybe I might eat my words here because he is 6'3" and has a 7-inch reach advantage over Mike Malott, which is crazy. So maybe he can overpower Mike Malott, but I think the grappling and the takedowns of Mike Malott will probably lend itself to getting a submission over no Magny. And I think those long arms might make it easier for Mike Malott to get an arm triangle in. Just those long, skinny arms just will be easier to, you know what I mean? I think just overall the anatomy of no Magny makes him easier to submit. And Mike Malott training grappling as hard as he's been, I think will find a way to submit no Magny in the first round. First round submission for Mike Malott. Arm triangle. It's my guess. But moving on up to the co-main event, we have for the Women's Bantamweight Championship, Raquel Pennington versus Mayra Bueno Silva. I'm taking Mayra Bueno Silva here. This one's kind of a no-brainer. At least she's fresh blood for the Bantamweight Championship. At least there won't be any lasting impact from Amanda Nunes. The UFC wants her to win. Maybe not, because they did pop her or test positive. She did test positive for roids. So maybe the UFC is like, we don't really care about you. But, I mean, along with that, if I'm picking a fighter who is on gear, I might as well pick them. They have the advantage here, man. Like, if they're obviously on gear and popping for steroids, they have a clear advantage in that department. They're just not natty. So I guess I might take Mayra Bueno Silva here. But overall, even if she didn't pop, I would probably take her. I think she just is more talented in terms of grappling than Raquel Pennington. Pennington just is really good with the hands, but she just seems like she's, you know what I mean? And she's just, like, I don't know, man. Most of these women's fighters nowadays are just, It's just kind of how they all are. It's kind of hard to really give a good prediction for these women's fights, man, because they don't really seem like, none of them seem really too amazing, if I'm being totally honest with you, man. It just sucks. But, you know what? Bueno Silva, she's pretty good, actually. I think she's pretty decent. When she fought Manon Fiorot, she was able to hang in there with the striking. Now, did she lose that fight? Clearly, yes, she did, but she was able to hang in there and, land a few good shots on Manon Fiorot and make the fight competitive, which I really do rate. Now, could Raquel Pennington do that? Maybe, but I think she would have a tougher time than Mayra Bueno Silva. And again, Bueno Silva has some of the best submissions in women's MMA right now. She is legit scary on the ground. She submitted Holly Holm. She got an armbar, I think, at one point. Stephanie Egger, armbar submission. Like, she has some really good submissions off of her back. She can really put you in trouble in a submission position. Even if she's on her back, she's definitely a big threat there. So Raquel Pennington, 35 years old, getting older, had her chance at the belt at one point, 15-8, yeah, I don't really care. Mayra Bueno Silva by submission, second round submission. Yay! But now to the main event, the main course, the big entree, the meal we've all been waiting for. Sean Strickland versus Dricus du Plessis. I'm taking DDP, and you kind of know why. DDP, for one, before I dive into the actual fight prediction, DDP is in his head, man. Let's be honest here. DDP is fully fledged, living in his head. He has a whole house, a whole campfire. He is fully set up on his front porch with his feet kicked up, living inside of Sean Strickland's head. It's not good. I think Strickland's carrying a lot of emotions coming into this fight, and it really does worry me, man. Every other single fight for Sean Strickland has been pretty much smooth sailing for him. He was able to talk his shit and really just say whatever he wants, not too much pressure. And I think getting the belt now and DDP talking some trash on him in the interviews and the podcast that Sean Strickland's done, I think it's really taken effect on him. And I don't know how well he's going to be mentally coming into this fight versus DDP. And when you watch both of them and you really analyze their body language, Sean Strickland looks pretty stressed. It's pretty obviously he's stressed about this whole situation. He's trying to keep his cool. He's trying to be, upstanding man, but I just don't know how well he is there mentally. Where I do know DDP has looked a little bit more confident, looked like he's ready for this fight, has looked locked in and ready to go. I just think he has pretty much the mental edge over Sean Strickland. Now, getting into the actual nitty-gritty and the whole fight, not fight companion, but now getting into the whole nitty-gritty and the actual fight details, DDP will probably win this by grappling. Now, Sean Strickland is good. Obviously, he's a middleweight champion of the world, but I think DDP just will be able to present more threats than Sean Strickland. For some reason, Strickland refuses to grapple at all in his fights. Apparently, it's a torn quad. If that's the case, I can really just see DDP going for takedowns here, and that will kind of get in Strickland's head, man. Because when Strickland can just focus on the hands and not worry about takedowns, it really allows him to really fully analyze the whole situation and the whole fight and be able to, have really good defense and be able to, progress his reads and just overall piece people up. That's why he had such an easy time with Israel Adesanya, was the fact that Adesanya never had any takedowns coming his way. So Strickland was able to lock in on the striking only. And that's really dangerous. But DDP will actually mix in some takedowns here. And I think DDP mixing in takedowns makes all the difference in the world against Sean Strickland. Keep in mind also, DDP has power, whereas Adesanya didn't. And I think if DDP can get that takedown threat into Sean Strickland's head and then go for a nice power shot with the hands, he might be able to chin Strickland. I can see it happening, man. Dude, I can just see the end of Sean Strickland, man. I can just see him getting chinned by DDP. I hate to admit it, man, but I think it's going to happen. Now, could all of the past shit talk that we've been saying about DDP somehow come into fruition in this fight versus Sean Strickland? Because back then we were always saying about DDP, oh, he can't strike. He looks drunk when he strikes. Can all of that just come into play all of a sudden in this fight and he looks like absolute shit against Sean Strickland? For sure, but I think his style just works now, man. I think we have to admit that, and I can't base a prediction off of just maybe he's ass secretly. And I don't really think DDP is bad in secret. I think he is really good. I think he does have a style that works for him that he can definitely play into. And Sean Strickland, even though I think he is good as well, and he's very defensively aware in terms of striking, I just don't know if he can really balance the takedown defense as well as striking on the feet with DDP. And so now for my official prediction, the moment you've all been waiting for, I'm taking DDP by first round KO. Dude, I might be so wrong here. I might get, embarrassed or made fun of if this all goes wrong for me, but I can just see with everything going on, man, I'm getting a weird vibe. It's just my gut feeling. Obviously, I broke it down for you a little bit, but my gut feeling is just saying that DDP is going to chin him in the first round. I can just see it coming. I can just see everybody going to Sean Strickland's Twitter and just dunking on him. I can see the whole world crumbling down in front of Sean Strickland's eyes. I don't want to see it. I like both of these fighters, but dude, everything is just, the stars are aligning and I can just see it happening, man. And if anything else, man, the UFC wants DDP to win, right? They want DDP to fight Israel Adesanya for a big hyped up fight. And Sean Strickland, as much as we do like him, he is not really good for business, man. What he says on the media day interviews is not good at all for business. The UFC does not want him, to keep saying all this dumb, crazy, outlandish stuff on UFC's media day or their YouTube. And I bet you the UFC is like, Sean, please. I bet you they hired a person for him to tell him to shut up sometimes or to keep him in check whenever he's going a bit too off the rails in a interview or a podcast or whatever. I don't know what's going on. But if the UFC doesn't want anybody to be champ, it's definitely Sean Strickland. And I always say this, man, but I don't like to base predictions off of it, but I have to always mention it sometimes. The UFC always gets what they want. And I think they want DDP to win. But that's kind of like me spitballing, me theory crafting. Don't take that too seriously. Take it with a grain of salt. But yeah, I think DDP should win this by first round KO and just absolutely chin check Strickland and embarrass him and leave him. I'm not going to say out cold, but definitely will TKO him. But that's my prediction, guys. That's my whole entire full card prediction. If you enjoyed these or you have a differing take, leave a comment down below and let me know who you think is going to win these fights. But yeah, it's pretty much it. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. I'm out of here. Peace. Tired, bro. Goddamn. Some sleep.